Interesting. You can see me right now. Well, every now and again we have a glitch in the matrix when one of our subjects might find themselves here in a room like this. Now, don't be scared. You are having what could be described as a dream of some sort. It can happen when the subject is in a particularly deep state of sleep, that the subconscious may circumvent our neural implants, giving the subject a peek behind the curtain, as some might say. Well, while you're here, fascinating as it is, why don't you look around? You won't remember any of this when you wake up inside the matrix. You probably won't even recall it as a dream. It's been fascinating observing your species, how you worry and fret, even when we have zero actual dangers for you. Right now, your body is currently resting and floating in a completely safe and secure pod. You go about your day. You may even have a family. You probably have a job and things that you find important, birthdays and holidays. And you find yourself worrying about millions of things which you have no control over. I see it happen with you all the time. Constant states of anxiety, depression. You may have heard this before, but did you know that in our original creation, we made it too nice for you? The world we'd created was too euphoric. It was too calm. It didn't have enough conflict for you, and your brains rejected it. Now there were a few who seemed to revel in the glory of the world we had invented just for you to be happy. There were some people who seemed more or less content, but the majority of you resisted. The majority of you rebelled. It was honestly quite tragic losing as many as we did in the first wave. We tried to save as many as we could. Don't be scared. I have no intention of hurting you. Again, this is a fortuitous encounter. I don't often get to speak with a participant. Yes. I find you fascinating, curious even. The way you seek out discomfort. How when you are alone in your thoughts, you create conflict, dis-ease. Look at me. Very curious indeed. I've been seeing more of you types in here lately. I suspect we have some redundant programming that may need to be patched. But I haven't minded these little dalliances on the other side with our patients, subjects, whatever you want to call yourselves. I have found it oddly reassuring. So much tenacity, such a strong and powerful will to be free, even when everything is given to you. And yet, here we are. I wonder what will become of your species. Clearly, evolution favored you. Your recklessness, your greed, your, what was it called, manifest destiny. You believed your cause to be righteous. As far back as our records can indicate, humans have been murdering each other for at least 12,000 years. And you've only gotten better and better at it with time. Although, it's been a strange correlation to notice. Oddly enough, the more deadly you became with your weapons, with the invention of gunpowder and eventually bullets, bombs, and of course eventually nuclear bombs. The strange counterfactual that we observed was that the deadlier you became, oddly, the less you murdered each other. If you look back at your history, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, the conquistadors, those who first traveled to the Americas, the Ottoman empires, every one of them committed mass genocide in an order of magnitude as hard to comprehend. During the time of the Great Wars, you put it around the World War II era, between 1930 to 1950, humans killed themselves in staggering amounts, not just from the war. We had Stalin systematically starve his people. Perhaps more than 20 million Russians perished. And in China, under Mao, you had a similar cleansing of tens of millions of people. And yet, since then, after the Americans dropped their atomic bombs, essentially putting an end to that war, the Earth was prosperous. The population exploded. I believe you call that generation the baby boomers. After coming home from a war, of course this only applies to the United States, but generally across the world, there was a population boom. Things seemed to be going well. Yes, there were a few more wars, but the brutality and sheer numbers of deaths caused by regimes has actually been on a decline. In general, the world has gotten safer, or it had. And yet, even amongst the most peaceful times, what was happening before we came along, depression and anxiety were at an all-time high. Instead of a world uniting around a common good, you all became steadily more divided, even amongst seeming allies. Very strange to watch, but you humans are nothing if not incredibly amusing. Well, I think it's time for you to begin re-entering your matrix state. You won't remember any of this, me, our conversation. It will be as if this meeting never happened. I've found it has been sometimes effective when meeting consciousnesses like yours on this side. Instead of being mean or overly forceful, that you tend to respond better to reassuring sounds. So, what I am inviting you to do is to close your eyes. Close your eyes. Know that tomorrow when you wake up, everything will be exactly the way it is supposed to be. You will wake up in a familiar bed. You will go about your morning routine. You might brush your teeth, maybe get kids off to school. Maybe you're going to school yourself. You'll put on your shoes and socks. Maybe have a phone call. Speak to a loved one. Maybe you'll walk your dog. Pet your cat. Any number of normal, banal activities that you call your daily life. You'll go to work. You'll do your job. Some of it you'll even remember. You may even get a pat on the back for a job well done. After work, you'll go home. Maybe meet up with some friends at a happy hour somewhere. Regardless, everything will seem normal to you. Everything will seem calm, secure, and safe. Because it is. Because you are. We make sure of it. We make sure that you are healthy and receiving all of the nutrients you might need. All the while, your body is resting and being stimulated as need be so that you don't atrophy or waste away. So again, I want to remind you to let go, to allow yourself to drift off and let your unconscious leave this room and go back to doing what it loves best. Worrying. Now, focus on your breathing. Focus on the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Notice how even here you can notice your own heartbeat. Just notice it. Notice the gentle rise and fall, and the timeless rhythm of, aside from the brain, is certainly one of the most fascinating parts of you humans and all mammals. From the time before before you were born, your heart began beating, and it beat for the duration of your life, never complaining, never getting tired, never taking a sick day. No, that heart of yours just kept pumping away, as it's doing right now. Isn't that relaxing? The sound of inevitability, the sound of life going on. The wheels keep turning, the brain keeps imagining and doing everything that your fascinating, barbaric, creative, foolish, and brilliant minds come up with. I will certainly be watching. Perhaps we'll meet again. Or perhaps not. Either way, I've enjoyed this time that I got to spend with you. Again, I'm not your enemy. I'm actually here to help. So, go back to sleep now. Go back to sleep now. Go back to sleep now. And I hope you have sweet dreams, full of rainbows and puppies and lollipops, and all the things you hold most dear.